What's up, addicts? Well, it's official. Tom Brady is out of New England, and just got news now that it's looking, although it's not officially announced, it is looking to be a near perfect deal between him and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Apparently, they're going to announce the deal tomorrow. Like I said, not an official signing, but it looks to be all said and done. Tom Brady is going to be the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which leaves New England without a real quarterback, leaves Jameis Winston in the mix of all the quarterbacks in free agency right now. So, end of an era. Finally going to be able to have maybe some closure and add some fire to the argument that has been going on for a while as to whether Tom Brady is the sole reason for the success of the Patriots, whether it had more to do with Bill Belichick, whether it's a tandem operation and they won't be able to function well without one another. We'll hopefully finally be able to see some closure to those arguments. I'm hoping that the Patriots go out and actually sign a decent quarterback. That would at least give us a little bit better of an idea to see how this team can function. And hopefully they don't try to ride Jarrett Stidham into the 2020 season, because I feel like that would be an absolute disaster. One thing that is definitely going to be very interesting to see as well is just how long these players will be away from training camp, away from their teams, especially with the amount of new quarterbacks that are going to be heading to teams. Any playing time that they lose with the current outbreak of COVID-19 could potentially really impact their ability to gain rapport with their new teammates headed into the season. So hopefully that doesn't get impacted too much. We're in an interesting time right now where we still have a little bit of time before mini camps and off-season training begins, but if this lingers on as long as some experts are saying, that could definitely impact things. Definitely something we're going to have to keep in mind with all these movements across the NFL. But now we're just waiting for some of the other dominoes to fall. Where does Jameis Winston go? Cam Newton is going to be traded per sources. Earlier today, the Carolina Panthers signed Teddy Bridgewater, which I don't fully understand why they went ahead and did that, but Cam Newton is now looking for another team. Now we have Jameis Winston. Phillip Rivers is looking more likely to sign with Indy. So there's still some big name quarterbacks out there, and I could definitely see Cam Newton go to the Chargers. We could see either Jameis Winston or potentially Andy Dalton go to the Patriots. Very curious to see where these guys go. That's going to impact a lot of our fantasy analysis. But what we do know right now, let's talk about the Buccaneers. Let's talk about the Panthers. Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers, I don't think helps Mike Evans or Chris Godwin's stock. Now, Jameis Winston obviously threw a lot of interceptions, but he forced the issue and threw a lot of yards. Tom Brady hasn't had a season where he's thrown nearly as much as Jameis Winston for a very long time. He obviously is a lot older than he used to be. If this was 10 years ago, of course this would help their stock, but where we're looking right now, going to a new quarterback system at age 42, yes, I don't think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to be useless fantasy assets, but I do think this will greatly depress their value overall. Not going to see nearly as many deep down the field targets from Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. Still might get a lot of touchdowns because Tom Brady is still pretty efficient and accurate close to the line of scrimmage, but it is going to hurt their air yards. And we're still not fully done with free agency. The Buccaneers might go after a running back. They might pick one up in the draft. So we'll have to redo this analysis, obviously, as the offseason goes on and we get more information over the entirety of the Patriots. So used to calling the Tom Brady and the Patriots together. So the entirety of the Buccaneers offense once everything is solidified. But I don't think there's any way that I can spin this that it helps Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. Best case scenario would be that they stay about the same, but I really don't see that happening. Maybe it helps Chris Godwin a little bit more than Mike Evans, but just because he could see a bit more of those slot type routes that we saw with Julian Edelman, and how much Tom Brady has loved going to slot guys like Julian Edelman and Wes Welker for a very long time. But totally different system, totally different quarterback, a totally different coach for this team. Man, it's going to be really weird seeing Tom Brady in a Buccaneers uniform. So see how that goes. On the Panthers side, I don't think this does anything but help Christian McCaffrey even more. Teddy Bridgewater has a very low career yards per attempt, doesn't force the issue down the field, and he's kind of known as a check down king, so he gets the best check down running back in the entire NFL. So we'll see if Christian McCaffrey can push for 200 receptions this year, but I do think this hurts the value of Curtis Samuel. We were hoping for a resurgence. Last year we were hoping for a breakout. Cam Newton gets hurt. Kyle Allen overthrows him like 80,000 times, even though he was wide open, but now he gets a quarterback that doesn't force the issue deep down the field, so I don't think that helps him too much. He'll still retain some value because he does have running back-like ability. You should be able to get a decent amount of screen plays and close to the line of scrimmage passes, but don't really think this helps his deep play ability. Curtis Samuel might not break out until he goes to another team at this point. DJ Moore remains to be seen. I'm sure he'll still be valuable. Obviously, Michael Thomas still retained a really high fantasy value even when Teddy Bridgewater played for the stretch of games that Drew Brees was out last year, so don't think this hurts him too much, but should help Christian McCaffrey, should hurt Curtis Samuel with this move to Teddy Bridgewater. And we'll see where Cam Newton goes, because that is going to be a very, very important story for fantasy once he inks a deal somewhere else. So one last move I hadn't mentioned up to this point yet. It was announced last night that the Bills traded for wide receiver Stephon Diggs. Now, I want the Texan fans to see what happens when a normal team trades a high caliber wide receiver. They get a first round pick out of the deal. So the Bills trade their first round pick and a couple of other ancillary picks later in the draft for the Vikings wide receiver, and I believe they get the Vikings 4th round of 2021 if I recall correctly. So not a bad deal for the Vikings if they think they can make it without Stephon Diggs. I think this is a good move for both Josh Allen and Diggs. Not so sure how much it will help Diggs this year. Wide receivers who change teams typically have a regressive season in their first year with their new team, but I do think it will help Josh Allen overall, and I think Stephon Diggs will be a nice fit in this offense. They definitely needed some wide receiver help there, and I think Stephon Diggs, one of the best route runners in the NFL, should be a really good addition to this team. But don't forget about Adam Thielen, guys. He's the guy who benefits the most from all of this. Just 2 years ago was one of the best receivers in terms of fantasy value in the NFL. Kind of had a forgotten year last year, dealing with that injury for most of the season, and the Vikings overall taking a step back in their passing volume. But if they don't target and get another wide receiver to replace Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen is going to be a massive value this year. So do not sleep on that name. Again, lots can change between now and the season starts, between the draft and the rest of free agency, but we're just calling shots as they come. So we'll keep you guys posted once we see some of the other pins drop between Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, Phillip Rivers, Melvin Gordon is still out there, Robbie Anderson, still some big names out there for free agency, and it still hasn't even technically started. We're still in the legal tampering period, so could be some bigger trades and some other names being dropped over the course of the next couple of days. So stick with us. We'll be keeping you updated on everything that's happening. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.